Welcome to Call of the Wild.
Hey everyone, this is Monstercat's weekly radio show connecting you with some of your favorite artists.
Hey everyone, this is Kill Paris.
Hey guys, this is Conroe.
What's up guys, Deon Timmer here.
And of course, a place where individuals like yourselves can take part in a global family.
Hey yo, this is Logan from Australia.
I'd like to shout out everyone who listens to Monstercat and remind you that you're awesome.
So glad I'm here.
So get yourself ready for an hour of fresh music, and it all starts right now.
With nothing to hold us back, these are the songs of the wild.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Today we have a very special episode of our radio show celebrating Earth Day 2020 and the continuation of a project which we started last year. We are really eager to bring you another Back to the Wild episode. If you're unfamiliar with the series, we invite speakers from all around the world and across many different industries to chat with us about environmental sustainability. My name is Dan, I work for Monstercat, and I'll be guiding you through the hour and lead the discussion with our very talented and insightful guests. So I encourage you to keep an open mind, and let's get right into it and meet some of our speakers for today.
Hey, what's up? I'm Sam Veld, DJ, producer, but also entrepreneur and environmentalist through the Heartfelt Foundation. And I'm here to talk about sustainability today.
Hi, I'm Diana Chaplin, and I am the Canopy Director of One Tree Planted.
Hey, what's up? This is Ruben de Ronde, and it's nice to be here. I'm a DJ producer from the Netherlands, also label owner of Statement Music, and I'm also part of the State of Trance radio crew.
I'm Natalie, and I'm an organizer with the Sustainability Teams. Hi, my name is Lila Williamson, and I'm an organizer with Sustainability Teams, which is the climate strike movement in Vancouver. And thank you so much for inviting me on to Monstercat's Back to the Wild radio show.
Thanks everyone. Really excited for this hour. Let's get right into it and enjoy some good music. Here is Glacier with Enough, right here on Monstercat's Back to the Wild Earth Day radio special.
It's a fear I was growing low. I can't stop what I'm thinking about it. But I can't change my point of view. If I miss my mark, just pull me back down where I can feel some comfort in my own head. Your voice within. And it can be enough. It can be enough. When your efforts stop, let it be enough. It can be enough.
So we're going to do this just like we did last time. I'll be asking the questions and our guests will be giving their insight. First up, we're going to hear from Ben from Monstercat's head of events, Diana Chaplin from our reforestation partner One Tree Planted, and Sam Veld, DJ, producer, and environmentalist through the Heartfelt Foundation. Let's begin by asking the big question: what is the climate crisis we're facing today?
The climate crisis that we're currently facing as a species is catastrophic. There's no other way of putting it.
Well, it's existential. I mean, it's absolutely everything. This is something that affects our long-term survival on this planet. It's not just into the future, it's now. It's our lives and our children's lives.
I would say it's the biggest long-term issue the planet will have to overcome. I think the main solution for it is to decarbonize our society. It's important to divest from fossil fuel and invest in clean technologies. And also stopping deforestation is I think, a big concern right now.
That's a very good point, Sam. And we're going to hear all about reforestation and how the community can get involved in that through One Tree Planted in just a bit. Until then, here's some music by Cloudna, and this is Let the Music In. Hashtag Back to the Wild Radio on socials to start a discussion. Let's go. Diana Chaplin and Sam Feld about the climate crisis earlier. Here's more of what they had to say.
The good news is that we know how to do it. We have the solutions. We have a lot of brilliant minds that have proposed very clear plans and I think ambitious plans, but completely doable plans if we really just join together and decide that this is important for us.
By making different individual choices when it comes to what we eat, what we buy, what we invest in, we can actually spark collective change and force the bigger companies and political parties to change the way they do business.
I think it's about looking ahead towards solutions. I think it's about creativity and experimentation and just about having respect for different viewpoints and different ideas.
Companies will have to innovate. So I think by making the right choices every single day, we're actually forcing the collective to move.
Let the music
Next up, we're going to hear from an industry friend and a fellow radio show host. I'm sure you are all familiar with him. Here's Ruben, co-host of A State of Trance, and we discussed how radio program like this show right now can have a voice to promote positive action in our world today. Take it away.
Hey, what's up? This is Ruben de Ronde, and it's nice to be here at the Monstercat, back to the wild. More than any genre, I think that's what we have in common with you guys, is that people are really dedicated to the music. It's a getaway of the life that they're living, if they're in troubles or whatever. It's uplifting music. You can find your friends on the radio. That's what we call it. We are your friends on the radio. A positive beacon in sometimes a negative world. And I think that's the nicest thing about the community we both have, because you see that with the Monstercat as well.
Absolutely. Music and online communities are incredibly powerful to spark discussion and on personal change. On that note, can you share with us some of your own personal philosophies and how you incorporate them into the actions that you take?
It all starts with yourself. If 7 billion people make small choices, the outcome is going to be huge. Most of the people are not aware of, for example, the plastic soup, and they're like, a little bit of this or a little bit of that laying in the river over here. But when you're gonna look into those documentaries, you see horrible footage of animals getting hurt by something that we throw in the garbage. So I think making small choices is the way to go.
Nicely put, Ruben. I'm going to have some more questions for you in a bit, so don't go anywhere. But why don't you introduce this track coming in right now to our listeners?
Right now, here's my remix of Saving Light.
where endless meets the end. Do you see me? I'm hidden here again. Your whispers found its way, calling me to stay. I'm
Our next two speakers are from Canada, and they're part of the Sustainabiliteens, a climate action group that organized the Vancouver climate strikes. The first question they spoke on was, what advice would you give others who are interested in getting involved in climate action? Here's Lila and Natalie. Take it away.
Just get involved in whatever way you can, whether that's getting involved with Sustainabiliteens or another climate strike chapter, or whether that's even signing a petition or getting involved with a different organization, or just find some way to join the movement, because I think that's the most powerful thing we can do is come together.
By listening to this today, you're already helping strengthen this movement. It's important to take away the blame from individual consumers, as this is a problem of companies and industries, and your potential inability to live a zero-waste life does not invalidate your passion for this movement, because it's not all about the choices we make, it's about the choices companies make available.
Really, the power in young people speaking up about climate is they can influence their parents and their families and the adults in their lives that are making those important decisions.
This movement is international too. We're all fighting for this one thing, and it's really cool to come together.
Thank you, Natalie and Lila from Sustainabiliteens. For any of the organizations you hear on the show, you are only a Google search away from learning more. But if you have specific questions, you can hit us up on socials using hashtag #BackToTheWildRadio. Now, let's get right into some more good music. This is Dumu and Icy Colors featuring Luma with You Used To.
I'm wishing you would call me, call me, call me, like when we were falling, falling, falling. Love so far away, but now honestly, I'm wishing you would call me like you did last summer. Part is holding on to something God knows, and I can't help but want you like I did before. Cause I still think about before we said goodbye. You never left my mind, and now I'm wishing you would call me, call me, call me, like when we were falling, falling, falling. Love so far away, but now honestly, I'm wishing you would call me like you did last summer.
Next up, we asked, what personal changes have you made in the last 3 years to reduce your own carbon footprint? Here's Ben from Monstercat, Sam from Heartfelt Foundation, Ruben from A State of Trance, and Diana from One Tree Planted with their answers.
The biggest change I've made recently and consciously to reduce my carbon footprint was modifying my diet.
I would say the one that has the biggest impact is offsetting all my CO2 emissions by investing in gold standard projects like cookstoves in countries like Uganda, for example.
Ooh, that's a good one. Well, yeah, I try to reduce my usage of plastic, for example. I try to fly CO2 neutral.
When you do need to buy things, are you thinking about that supply chain? Are you thinking about the materials that are used, how far it has to travel? You know, because when we do consider those things, we can be buying much more eco-friendly things that last longer. And then when we do ultimately finish using them, they would have less of a negative impact on the environment.
So we spoke about reforestation earlier, and we're really going to get into some detail now with Diana Chaplin from One Tree Planted. So take it away, give us the full scope. Why is it so important to plant trees?
Yeah, well, I think, just for context, when we're talking about reversing climate change, it really has to be a holistic approach. There are so many things that are involved in that. Reforestation is really critical because, everybody knows that trees sequester carbon, and that's really critical right now because there is way too much carbon in the atmosphere, and we need to do something about that carbon. And trees are the best technology that we have to take it out of the atmosphere and sort of lock it away and store it. But beyond the carbon element, trees also release oxygen for clean air. They filter water. They also create homes for wildlife and biodiversity. So trees provide all of these incredible ecological services that are much more than just, this functional carbon sequestration element.
Thank you, Diana. And as you know, today's episode of Back to the Wild is partnered with One Tree Planted, and all proceeds to our Earth Day shirt, which is now available at shop.monstercat.com, will go directly to reforestation. Or if you want to make a direct donation, just head straight to monster.cat/plant. $1 equals one tree. Let's get right back into some music. Here is Mern and Popesca right here on Monstercat's Back to the Wild. We've already heard from so many amazing speakers so far, and we have more to come. But let's just enjoy the music for now. Coming in right now is Dion Timmer featuring Tima D. This is Till I Make It.
Moving down to LA, to the land of opportunity. My grandma thinks I'm crazy for giving Hollywood a piece of me. I'm holding my head high, act like the world's mine. I didn't come for nothing, and all I know is I can't let them see. I got no idea what I'm doing. Take it all till I make it all the way. I've been winning, I've been losing, but you're never gonna read my poker face. Take it all till I make it. Take it all till I make it. No idea what I'm doing. Take it all till I make it all the way.
So bringing us into our next discussion topic, and one that really hits home in our industry, I asked our speakers, what are the big carbon contributors in the music space? Here's Ben and Ruben with some words.
Events and festivals are usually places where forward-thinking people can meet and have some level of discourse. They also are huge marketing tools and trendsetters as well.
Smarter touring, that would be one thing. Instead of flying to Asia one weekend, fly to America the next one.
Leave no trace, clean up after yourself. And maybe some people go to those festivals that didn't have that mentality before.
Smarter planning, less flying. See if you could take the train to a gig, for example. In Europe, there's quite some possibilities to take a train to other capitals, for example. So
they can also be a place of forward thinking. Hopefully makes an impact on the attendees of the festival that take those learnings and bring them kind of back into their everyday life.
Keeping to our discussion in the music industry, beyond just touring, we asked what levels of impact does music streaming have on the environment? Here's Sam Felt from Heartfelt Foundation with some thoughts on that.
When you go to the live streaming part and the streaming part of music, internet is a big pollutant. It's a big cause of global warming. You know, data centers, I think they should be powered with green energy. They should be cooled in sustainable ways.
Because it's true, you see it, the more we stream, and it's always about streaming more and more and more, these are all coming from data centers. And for the most part, a lot of these data centers are not run off of renewable energy. And that comes with its own weight of carbon emission.
100%. Yeah, it's like the hidden pollutant. It's like you don't see internet, with smoke and fumes on the streets, but it's happening, I think internet in general can be more efficient. Just look at the new technologies that are developing right now, making sure that they're in the right places where they're actually being supported by governments that fuel them with green energy.
And I guess what you're actually doing on your newest record, Hold Me Close, where every stream contributes to planting, is something that's interesting as well. It's kind of like stream offsetting.
I never thought of it that way, but that's a good way to explain it, yeah.
It's always eye-opening producing these episodes and being able to have dialogue, not just with our guests, but with each of you today. I really encourage you to start your own discussions with family, friends, co-workers, or on socials. If you have any questions about today's program, reach out at podcast@monstercat.com or hashtag #BackToTheWildRadio. Let's drop a new record now from Ramesis B. This is Forever, featuring the vocals of Zoe Moon.
Though you've been gone so long,
So the next speaker we're going to talk about is from our very own apparel team and the designer of our 2020 Earth Day t-shirt, which of course is available at shop.monstercat.com. Here's Linda to talk a bit about sustainability at Monstercat.
I believe that not only me, but the rest of my team really wants to see more sustainable apparel in the future. Every time you make any new object or bring something to the world, that it has some expenditure of resources. So I just want to make sure that if we are making things, we also do it consciously and give something back to nature. We make sure we support nature so it can support us.
Thank you, Linda, and definitely a very important discussion to be had when we look at sustainable apparel, something that our team here believes wholeheartedly. Our Earth Day shirt is made from 100% cotton and printed with water-based inks. On top of that, all profits from this go directly to One Tree Planted for global reforestation. Head over to shop.monstercat.com to support these efforts. Now let's drop back into some music. Here are two back-to-back gems from Rootkit. This is Too Late. Keeping on the discussion of reforestation, let's bring back Linda, Natalie from Sustainability Teens, Diana from One Tree Planted, and Sam Feld. Take it away.
Reforestation is like one of the few things you can really do to actually offset your carbon footprint.
It's just really simple science because trees absorb the carbon dioxide and release oxygen. And it's a completely natural solution that people ignore too often.
Forests have been destroyed. I mean, we really, the recent estimate now in a study is that we need to plant about 1 trillion trees. And so that's a lot. At the same time, we definitely need to conserve the existing forest.
Trees are the lungs of our earth. Reforestation, putting the trees back where they belong, is actually giving our earth a little bit more room to breathe that it desperately needs at this moment.
So as we get into the last quarter of our program today, I think it's really important to reiterate why we produce shows like this. It's to create dialogue. Each of you listening right now are here because we share a passion for music, creativity, and community. We want to feel that what we're doing with our passions can really have a positive and collective impact. If there's something that I've really come to realize in these recent times is that when humans really want to make change, we can. And that only starts when we come together as a community.
It really comes down to give, do, inspire, and empower. So I think it's not just about telling people what to do. It's also leading by example.
Yeah, I think it's about speaking with positivity and respect. I think it's about looking ahead towards solutions. I think it's about creativity and experimentation.
Bringing as many people into the conversation as possible and as many different groups of people and different representation is, I think, really the only way to have effective conversations about the environment. Bringing in Indigenous people and marginalized communities that often are not brought into this conversation, I think.
Different viewpoints and different ideas, and just looking ahead with a positive outlook. I think I said positive like 5 times right there.
It's a positive conversation.
Be positive.
So another topic we brought up that is very relevant right now and something we really wanted to touch upon was what lessons can we learn from the current COVID-19 pandemic and how can we apply this to the broader topic of climate change? Here's Sam, Diana, and Ben.
I would say what we can learn is that, we're guests on this planet. We're not the owners of this planet. Nature will strike back at us if we continue to treat this earth this badly. I sincerely hope that when this all blows over, we will have learned our lessons. And also the positive ones, just look at how clean the air is with so little planes flying and how different animal species, that we were just talking about that have almost gone extinct start showing themselves again now that we give them the space that they deserve. So I think it's both, a very challenging time, but also a time where you can see what's possible if we give the earth a little break.
There's been just a lot of really raw and beautiful human connection that's resulted from this crisis. And I think that's what we need to bring to the sustainability crisis, to the climate crisis. We've also seen that when we really work together and we're coming together at a systemic level, we can flatten the curve. I mean, flattening the curve, I really love how this idea of this sort of like science-y chart kind of concept has become something that everybody understands this now. And I think we can very easily translate that to flattening the curve of carbon. It's exactly the same thing. You know, there is a threshold at which our planet cannot regenerate resources. And if we go above that threshold, which we're doing more and more every year, we're using up more resources than the planet can provide us, then we are, you know, increasingly screwed every year that we go not addressing this. But if we're able to flatten that curve when it comes to carbon and so many other resources that we're using and kind of stretching it out to make sure that there is enough to sustain both humanity but also, you know, wildlife, if we can flatten that curve and find that place of balance, then wow, we can create such a beautiful, verdant world together.
Yeah, I really hope the 7 o'clock thing actually keeps going after. I'd love for like the entire world at 7 o'clock every day to just be like, hey, we're all here, we're all happy, we're all cheering and connected. It's a really positive thing. I'm going to keep cheering at 7 o'clock every day, Dan. I don't care what everybody else does. I'll be out there at 7 o'clock every day for the rest of my life. Just woo! Woo!
Something else that we asked now that many of us are well into our careers, lives, and routines was, what advice would you give your younger self when it comes to how we treat the planet?
One thing I could tell my younger self, I think, would be to travel more. Travel doesn't just have to be flying. It could just be traveling in BC and going and hiking more. It really opened my eyes to how big and global but also small and beautiful the world is. And that really made me change my perspective and start caring more about the world as well.
I would definitely tell my younger self to follow my intuition. I've been thinking about this thing and I just haven't done it. I would say do that thing. Listen to that inner voice and see where it leads you, especially if you know in your heart that it is the good and right thing.
I would tell myself to stay true to myself. I think, in my early 20s, I drifted from how I was raised, kind of neglecting my love for the planet and touring the world, not really caring about what I was leaving behind. And now I feel like I'm growing back more to that, earth-loving boy every day. So I would say, stay strong, stay true to yourself.
I'm standing all by myself in the shadows, surrounded by the silence seeping in, alone with my thoughts, no one to follow. Running on time that's paid thin. Can someone hear me screaming at the top of my lungs? Tell me that I'm only dreaming. Can someone take away this feeling? Feels like I am barely breathing. Come and save me. Tell me that I'm only dreaming. Everything around me spinning. Need someone to wake me up before it's too late. 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 Up before it's too late.
Continuing that same question, here's Lila from Sustainabilities on advice she would have given herself some years ago.
I honestly would have just told myself to, get involved sooner. And just as soon as I realized that climate was a really big issue, just find some way to get involved and take action. that can sometimes be really difficult when you're younger, because it seems like a lot of spaces are really not super accessible to younger people, especially when you're just starting high school or in elementary school. And I think that's something that was so amazing about getting involved in the climate movement, as I was able to organize with people who were my own age and who cared about the same things that I did. And I think that's something can be difficult to find.
Trapped inside a world of pain that needs healing. I am only dreaming. Take me to a place where seeing is believing. Tell me that I'm only dreaming. Can someone take away this feeling? Feels like I am barely breathing. Come and save me. Tell me that I'm only dreaming. Everything around me spinning. Need someone to wake me up before it's too late.
That is all for us this week. We wanted to thank all of our incredible guests today and the amazing conversations that we had. Let's bring them back to say some farewell words before we get into our final track.
Well, this has been Diana Chaplin at One Tree Planted. Thank you guys so much for all of your amazing support. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for doing this. I think this is a great initiative, and I'm really happy that Monstercat powers us to be able to do things like this.
My name's Lila, organizer with Sustainability Teens, and
I'm Natalie from Sustainability Teens.
Hey, this is Linda from the apparel team. Thank you for inviting me, and everybody stay safe.
So yeah, that was it for me, Ruben and Ronne, and thank you so much for tuning in to Monstercat Back to the Wild, and I hope to see you very soon, guys.
Yo, what's up? This is Sam Veld. Thank you for listening to Monstercat Back to the Wild Earth Day radio special. It's been my pleasure being on the show today. My new track, Hold Me Close, is out now, so go stream it. You'll be planting trees if you do, and also check out my Heartfelt Foundation.
Thank you again. And just to summarize the hour, this was Monstercat's Back to the Wild, a dedicated hour of our globally syndicated radio show Call of the Wild, where we take over the program to talk about environmental sustainability and to encourage dialogue with online communities. Hopefully you got something from this. This is something that really means a lot to us here at Monstercat. And if there's something that I've learned in my last 6 years with the label, is how powerful music can be in bringing people together and celebrating life. Music is a reflection and a time to stop and really question who we are. For me, it's a feeling of unity and the greater good for our planet, making sure that our work here can be enjoyed not just for a few years, but for decades to come. And all that starts with each of our daily decisions. So thank you for listening. We know that you got to this point of the show purely by choice, and that really says something. It's the start to a new beginning. Let's leave off with our last song of the hour. Here's Dumu and Corey with Together. Until next time, later days.
That's a bad kick.